Hey everyone, welcome back. So this is going to be a tag response video, which I've kind of reshaped a little bit, I think. So my good friend Sammy over Sammy G's World of Cinema, he tagged me ages ago now, and I've just been so busy since I'm just getting around to doing this. Now Sammy did a video basically on 10 directors, and then 10 directors with a favourite film from each of those directors, or I think that's the gist of the video for him there. So what I've decided to do is, I was racking my brains thinking, how am I going to get 10 movies from 10 directors to talk about? That'll be my favourite movies from these directors. Now I thought I'm going to channel it a little bit more kind of into my Letterboxd account. So I thought, I've been using Letterboxd I think for the last 5 years or so, 4 or 5 years, maybe longer, I don't know, but not for that long. So there is a few caveats to this video. This is going to be a video of, I'm basically putting up my Letterboxd stats here, and I'm going to go through the directors that I have watched the most, and then I'm going to pick basically each of the movies that each of the directors that I've seen the most films from. I'm going to load up that screen, hopefully put a little screenshot on here so you can see what I can see, and then I'm just going to basically look at my own watches from that director and see whether my ratings for the Letterboxd I agree with now looking back on it or not, and we'll talk about my favourite film that I've seen from them. So the caveats with this would be, I haven't seen obviously all the films from each director here, and some of these directors I have seen more films than what is listed on the screen that pops up. They just may have been seen before I started logging everything on Letterboxd, if that makes sense. So we'll get underway with the video. I hope this all makes sense. So this is going to be looking at my most watched directors according to my Letterboxd stats, and my favourite film from each of those 10 directors. Here we go. So the first one on here is going to be Tobe Hooper. So I'm just going to have a quick look and pull up all the films I've logged as being seen by Tobe Hooper. So yeah, quite a selection in here. Now my favourite, if I'm looking at the list here, I think my favourite's coming up as obviously the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is not going to be a surprise to most, I think, if you know me and know the channel. So the Funhouse came a little close second there, which I had seen way back in the day and sort of discarded almost, but a fairly recent rewatch of that one actually put it in second place. Yeah, I don't know if there's much surprises in here. It's quite interesting, the movie Crocodile down there. From 2000, that is a terrible film in terms of how it looks and when you watch it back, but I do love it. That's why I've got a little heart next to it. So yeah, my ratings are quite mixed on here. Sometimes I rate films based on how good I think they are in terms of a technical level, but most of the time I try and do it in how much I enjoyed the film. So probably now, looking back on this old review, I probably could have jacked that Crocodile one up a little bit. I know it's not a well-loved film, but yeah. Anyway, so that was kind of like surprising that's quite low, but what else have we got here? The Mangler, 2.5, so that's like, equivalent to a 5 out of 10 movie. I quite like Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. I know, again, another controversial one. But yeah, so I guess my favourite movie from this director, Tobe Hooper, is going to have to be the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. No surprises yet. Okay, so let's go back to the director list here. So I'll quickly run through the rest of the directors, so if you haven't seen the thumbnail or if they don't come through on the thumbnail for any reason. So Tobe Hooper was the first one there. I've logged 10 films by Tobe Hooper. I have logged 10 films watched under Sam Raimi. I've logged 9 films under Joe Dante, 8 films under Steven Spielberg, 8 films under Lloyd Kaufman, 8 films under Ty West, 7 films under Paul Thomas Anderson, 7 films under John Carpenter, 6 films under Ron Howard, and 6 films from Todd Phillips. So those are the directors I've seen the most films from since I've been using Letterboxd. Obviously not necessarily in my whole life, but we'll go with this for the purpose of the video. Okay, so the next director is Sam Raimi. So, yep, let's click on Sam Raimi and see what I've got locked here. Okay, so my favourite Sam Raimi is apparently the original Spider-Man, so I gave that one a 5-star review. Um, yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that necessarily. That's pretty strong. It came out at a time when I was sort of really getting into films when I was quite young. So it was the early 2000s. So yeah, 2002, that one. So yeah, I pretty much stand by that. I know a lot of people like number two over number one, but I think number one maybe just has that initial nostalgia for me attached to it. And number two's not far behind with a 4-star log there as well. Evil Dead. Now I'm surprised I haven't logged Evil Dead 2 because I absolutely love that film, and I would say I watched it probably so much as a teenager and when I was younger. I'm surprised I haven't seen it in the last handful of years I've been using Letterboxd, so maybe that's going to have to go high up on the rewatch list now. I've seen the original Evil Dead loads of times as well, and I've logged that one. So that was a 4.5 stars. So that was, it was going to be in my head. It was going to be between the Evil Dead series or the Spider-Man series for me. Any surprises in here? I don't think so personally. I think I kind of stand by most of these ones I've logged here. Simple Plan 3.5. I guess a lot of people would maybe give that a touch more. But it was my first time watching that one, and it was pretty good. 3.5 for me is between good and great. So, yep, I'll stand by that one. Okay, next director we're looking into is going to be... Let's go with Joe Dante. So we've got 9 films logged as watched by Joe Dante. So in this one, I've logged Gremlins 2 as a 5-star movie from the ones I've watched from Joe Dante out of the list here. And yeah, I probably would have to, I'd agree with myself there. This is going to be, maybe another controversial one. So Gremlins just a tad under. I do love Gremlins. It's still a 4.5-star movie, but number 2 for me was the one I had on VHS back in the day and watched over and over. Same as I did with Gremlins to some extent, but it was just so much more fun. Gremlins 2, just so much more like off the wall, just like bizarre. All the different creatures change, like get the voice going through one of the Gremlins was just amazing to me. The Spider Gremlin, the Hulk making a cameo in there, Hulk Hogan. But number 2 is probably the one I've definitely watched the most over any of the other films he's done here. Piranha. So yeah, Piranha, I've given a 3.5 star. Now that one started off quite lower in my rankings, I think. Over the years, when I first watched it, I kind of found it a bit bland. But I did see a 4K screening of that actually at a cinema, and that alone just pushed it up another kind of like probably star rating. So yeah, maybe it's one that grows more and more on a rewatch, which I think I've found so far with that one. Any other surprises in here for me? Probably not. I know a lot of people might be looking at Inner Space and thinking, how's it only a 2.5? I didn't have the nostalgia for it. It was fine. Again, so that's 5 out of 10. It's like for me, it's pretty good. It's not that bad. Yeah. Okay, next director. Okay, so here we go. We're going to go for Steven Spielberg here. So Steven Spielberg, probably not that much of a surprise that I've got... I've got 3 movies here, I think, of his under 5-star movies. So yeah, big impact on my growing up and my film loving from a childhood sort of point of view. Jurassic Park, I've spoken about many times on the channel. Watched that at the cinema. Still, it's just unbeatable for me in terms of dinosaur movies. Now Hook, I think a lot of people don't get on with Hook, but I really get on with Hook. Another VHS staple that I've watched for many years. And E.T., same with that one. That was huge back then. And I grew up with that one on the VHS, so it's had so much rewatch value for me. And then we've got one, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, so from 1984. This was another VHS one I had as a young kid growing up. And again, possibly controversially, but that's probably my favourite indie movie. I know a lot of people would go for the other one, so Raiders of the Lost Ark. But, the 80s for me was more my age bracket in films. Like this is sort of 1984. So yeah, that one, it was just a staple for me on VHS watching it growing up as a kid. So I can't go wrong with that one. I love everything about it. Short round, the sort of like young kid in that temple. The kind of like, this was one of the first things I saw when I was so young. I'm pretty sure this one and Gremlins were responsible for America's PG-13 rating, because they're kind of baited out as family films, but when you watch them, you've literally got some guy's heart being torn out at some point in the film, people getting dived off of bridges and eaten by the crocodiles and things. So yeah, some proper, non kid friendly stuff in here. I still remember the dining table scene was one of the most vivid scenes for me, when they bring out the monkey skulls and they're eating the brains, and they cut that snake open, all those little snakes come out. Ugh, used to actually, I didn't like that. I didn't like that as a kid. Those were like, childhood scars for me, those ones, but fond ones now to look back on. So yeah, that was Steven Spielberg. What else we got in here? Anything surprise wise? What was that? So Sugarland Express. Oh yeah, okay. So Sugarland Express, I gave a 3.5 star. I was quite new to that one. I hadn't watched that long ago. So 3 from him. So it's hard to pick that one. I'd probably, if I had to, probably Jurassic Park would just pip it over Hook and E.T. for me over the 3 5-star movies in that rank for him. So yeah, let's go on to the next one. Okay, so next up is the director Lloyd Kaufman. So I've logged 8 films watched by Lloyd Kaufman. So now, obviously, if you know Lloyd Kaufman, you probably know he's done a lot of Troma. Troma, low budget, just fun films. Now, it's probably, again, not going to be too much of a surprise to see here that the original Toxic Avenger movie from 1984 gets my 4-star rating, therefore being my favourite film from that director. Not too far behind is Poultrygeist, which again, if you've followed the channel for a while, you would have seen me pick that one up a little while back. Poultrygeist, Night of the Chicken Dead from 2006, just absolutely insane. Romeo and Juliet, it was okay. Literally 2 stars for me just means okay. I think I haven't seen all of the Toxic Avenger movies. I've seen part 2 there. I'm not sure if I've actually ever seen part 3 and 4. Definitely not all the way through anyway. So again, I need to get them on the rewatch list pretty soon, or watch list pretty soon, high up. Not too much of a surprise there. We're going for Toxic Avenger from 1984 from Lloyd Kaufman. Okay, next director. So Ty West. So I guess more of a slightly more of a more modern director than some of the other ones on this list. Now Ty West, I feel like I kind of accidentally discovered. So I think I'd watched a couple of his movies, and then hadn't really noticed or sort of connected the dots, if you like, that they were the same director. And it wasn't until I think I want to say X. When I saw X, that's when I really started to purposely find out and look up who did that film. And when I went back on his IMDb and realised he'd done a couple of other movies that I had seen in the past, I then purposely started seeking out his other stuff. This one here, now weirdly, this is slightly surprising for me. So I've got The Sacrament at 4.5 stars, which I don't disagree with, but I would have guessed before I looked into this that I may have logged X as my favourite, because for me X is the best of the trilogy, as you can probably see from my ratings here from the Pearl Maxine series. Again, another probably controversial opinion, but that one for me has just got the most gore, the most kind of the most exploitation kind of vibe to that one, which I really enjoy. And it's also got just having that lake and a crocodile scene as well. I just love something about swamps and lakes as well. I did this on a video, 5 things I really enjoy about films. So if you've seen that, you probably know where I'm going with that. So Sacrament, according to my Letterboxd, is my favourite Ty West movie, which I don't think I could disagree with. I maybe would, on a rewatch, I might bump X up a little bit more from a 4-star to a 4.5, so it might be kind of a dual first place for this one. I was really surprised by House of the Devil. That one came out in 2009. I think that was one of the other ones where I started to notice his name at Ty West's around, because I started watching this, and as I watched it, not knowing anything about it, I genuinely thought it was a movie I'd missed from the 70s or the 80s, because the aesthetic of it is just unreal. It's like you're in that time period. I just thought it was one that I'd missed over the years, and that's why I started looking up the film. But no, it came out in 2009, quite a modern film compared to the 70s and 80s that I thought it came from. So he did do the Cannibal Fever 2, which I think apparently he wanted his name taken off of after the studio kind of took their hands and reshaped it into something slightly different to what he envisaged. Envisaged. Can't say the word envisioned, apparently. Envisaged. So the studio kind of took their hands and reshaped that film to something that he wasn't really kind of, wanting to put his name to. So yeah, Cannibal Fever 2, sorry, Cabin Fever 2, not Cannibal Fever 2, that's something different. But yeah, Cabin Fever 2, I like it for what it is. It's that time period of early 2000s horror, 2009 again, where it's just fun for me. It's just gory, splattery fun. Innkeepers I really like, sort of like a haunted house type thing, but set at a hotel. Yeah, again, I don't think I disagree with too many of the opinions I've had logged over the last so many years of watching Ty West movies there. So yeah, let's move on to the next one. So the next director is Paul Thomas Anderson. Now, I'm pretty sure I know, so looking at these, it's pretty much what I assumed it would be from my memory of my ratings of these films. Punch Drunk Love, 2002, again, the early 2000s, strike again for me. It's just where my whole, it's where the massive part of my film loving that really, really took off. So nostalgia is high on that sort of time period. I watched that one when I was quite young, really enjoyed it, liked the fact that it was slightly off, it wasn't normal. It wasn't just like a normal film. It wasn't a normal Hollywood tale that you would normally have. It's about a guy who collects yogurt pots or something, or dessert pots, for a coupon offer, and is a bit of an odd character. I really, really enjoyed this one. So yeah, 4.5 stars. Has to be my favourite Paul Thomas Anderson movie. Closely followed by Hard 8, which again I've spoken about a couple of times on the channel. Not an easy one to pick up in the UK here on Blu-ray. I had to import that one. That's from 1996. That was sort of like just like a really understated thriller. So really enjoyed that one. Boogie Nights again, which is another close contender for the top spot. So 1997 there. So these 90s movies. Magnolia, 1999, another 4-star movie. And then, Licorice Pizza. So Licorice, based on all these, was kind of what I'd watched from those movies and really enjoyed. When I got to Licorice Pizza, I had such high expectations, and I went in and, just thought it was okay. Now, I do need to rewatch it. I have bought it fairly recently to rewatch it, because I think there's probably more to it than that. I think my expectations just were too high going in. So yeah, going to rewatch that pretty soon. Now, One Battle After Another, he's one of his latest works, I guess, there from 2025. Again, it was fine. I didn't mind it. I thought, between good and great, I can see why people loved it, but there's no way I'd watch that probably more than once. It was a one and done. It's a really good one and done, don't get me wrong. But whereas Punch Drunk Love, I could rewatch that. Boogie Nights, rewatch that. Hard 8, Magnolia even, I can rewatch that. So yeah, quite a divisive one. So I either really kind of love or hate his work, it seems. I've either got 2-star reviews or I've got 4 stars reviews. There's very little in the middle, apart from maybe One Battle After Another. Okay, so next director. So my next director here is John Carpenter. So I'm pretty sure I know which one's going to be the top. Yeah, God, there had to be. So Halloween, 4.5-star review on Letterboxd here from me. So yeah, that was no surprise for me there. The Fog, so this is another good case of I watched it when I was young, didn't massively enjoy it if I'm being totally honest. But then over the years, just going back to it over time, each time I watch it, it just gets better and better for me each time I watch it. So yeah, that one's a 4-star, not too far behind. Starman, one I was quite late to the party with. So yeah, from 1984, that one was surprisingly good. Really enjoyed that, 4 stars. Ghost from Mars. I'm so torn with Ghost from Mars. It's bang on. 2001. It's that time period I keep saying about. It's just so bad. It's just so bad. But I can't stop watching it. I've watched it several times. I think it's because the aesthetic of the movie, the time frame from where it's from, where I'm really fond of. The fact it is John Carpenter behind the camera. And yeah, it's the cast, so I don't know. It's just more of a nostalgia thing than it is an enjoyment thing. I kind of love to hate that movie. I don't know what it is about it. So I have actually bought and sold that movie several times. The Ward gets kind of crapped on a lot from 2010. I've given it a 3-star. I mean, probably that's slightly high because if I'm being honest, I don't remember a great deal about it. I'd probably, if memory serves, I'd probably go back and it would probably come out more of a 2 to 2.5-star movie. But it is what it is. These are reviews from over the last so many years. And that's the beauty of rewatching it. You kind of you change your opinion over time on certain things. So yeah, Halloween, no surprise there. I don't think from anyone that John Carpenter's, my favourite movie from him is going to be Halloween. Okay, so we've got the penultimate director here of this list of 10 directors. Let me just grab this one here. So we have got Ron Howard. So Ron Howard. Now I have seen more Ron Howard movies than what is logged on here, but again they just go back beyond before I started using Letterboxd basically. So from what I've got here, weirdly I think the documentary, a Jim Henson Idea Man from 2024 comes out at top with 4 stars. Now again, if you know me and you know the channel, you know I'm a big Jim Henson fan, so that's kind of not surprising, I guess, that maybe that was my most enjoyed watch from him. Now, 13 Lives. I did enjoy 13 Lives. That's where they go in and try and rescue those, some sort of sports team of young guys that gets caught and gets flooded into this sort of like side of a mountain, I think, and they have to pull them out. I remember enjoying that pretty much, so I'm quite surprised it's only got a 3-star. I thought that might be slightly higher, but on the day I must have just thought that was a 3-star movie, so we've gone with that. What else have we got in here? Splash, yeah, so that one I watched on TV as a young kid, and that sort of stuck with me. I did rewatch it recently, and it wasn't quite as high up on my kind of like expectations as what it was in my memory for watching it years ago. Still pretty good, but yeah. Quite a few in there. Ransom, again, kind of a 90s action thriller. That's just got me all over it, so I do like that. 3.5 stars. But yep, technically at the moment, from what I've watched, Jim Henson's Idea Man documentary from 2024 is my favourite Ron Howard movie logged. Okay, so we've got one more director to go for the list of 10 directors to find out what my favourite film of theirs is. And it is the director Todd Phillips. So we'll just pull up his movies I've seen. So again, another director that's got a bit of a broad spectrum here. So Todd Phillips. Now again, if you know me in the channel, there's probably not a surprise that my highest rated one here, actually there's 2, Road Trip and Joker. Now 2 arguably opposite ends of the spectrum there in terms of tone for movies. So Road Trip from 2000, which again is my teen comedy kind of like pinnacle for me in terms of the age and the kind of like type of comedy that was coming out. It's such an easy watch for me. Just the comedy lands for me. The cast in there was like the cast that I knew when I was young growing up. And then you've got Joker. So Joker obviously is just much more of a kind of secluded, dark, slower paced tone movie altogether compared to something like Road Trip. You almost can't believe the same guy did the same movies. But there you go. So yeah, I really enjoyed the Joker as well, 4 stars, but for different reasons, obviously, to Road Trip. If I had to pick over the 2 and I had to lose one forever, I'd have to lose Joker and say that Road Trip's going to have to be my favourite from his. It just, again, has that nostalgia attachment to it. Now, Joker Folie à Deux. Now, this one came a bit controversially to the screens. I gave this 3.5 stars. I went into this thinking it was going to be complete trash, doom and gloom, which I'm sure a lot of you are sitting there thinking it was. But I think maybe that helped. I went in and I thought, actually, I quite enjoyed how they did what they did with that film. I didn't mind the musical numbers. For me, that kind of worked. It showed kind of like for me anyway, it showed like when he was mentally just breaking away and going into his own little world, into his head when those musical numbers pulled out. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it enough, so I give it a 3.5. But yeah. War Dogs is another one which again it surprised me that I really enjoyed that one. I went into that with low expectations, not knowing really much about it, and 3.5 out of 5 on that one from me as well. So that was my 10 most watched directors that I've logged on Letterboxd since using Letterboxd, and that is the favourite movie from each of those 10 directors, again, that I've logged since using Letterboxd. So I hope you found that interesting and enjoyed, and it's been good to talk about those things. I might do a few more videos like this because I quite enjoy doing these ones. So thank you again to Sammy, Sammy G's World of Cinema, which I'll link down below, for kind of tagging me and inspiring the video. Now, I won't tag anyone else to do this video because I feel like I'm literally a month late to the party on this one. So, if you want to do this one and you've got your own channel, or put down below your own favourite movies from these directors I've spoken about, or your own, feel free to. Otherwise, I will see you again on the next video. Cheers, guys. Bye.